So in studio this morning, my guest is the lovely Stacy Benjamin, who is an image consultant and so much more. So much more. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning, Lisa.
Thank you for getting up and coming out.
I try to be impossibly fresh.
Welcome to Now.
Thank you.
Yeah, you love our new set.
It's fabulous.
Yeah, in the new TTT.
Yeah.
So Stacy, you know, I have seen you deliver motivational talks to all walks of life. But today we're talking to the youth.
Yes. We're
talking to the young people.
Yes.
And help us with 4 tips for young people in terms of how do we help them to dream and stay inspired?
It could be very tricky, especially as teenagers, to keep young people motivated. One of the things we have to grasp it from the beginning is that in order to inspire someone, you have to reach them. They have to be open. The communication has to be constant. Of course, because they're teens, it has to be age appropriate and excitable.
Right.
So 4 things that I like to share with any adult who is mentoring or parenting a child. My first thing is that you want to celebrate what's unique about the child.
Yes.
And as a parent, sometimes what's unique about your child might be annoying to you, or it might scare you.
Yes.
But it's important not just for them to hear you saying it to them, but also for them to hear you celebrating them to others.
Like what, for example?
It could be that your child is not as academic but more creative.
Right.
They might be less academic than their siblings or the children in their class.
Yeah.
But it is important as a parent for you to buy into that and for them to see that, you know, you don't approach it with an angst, that traditional parenting angst. You find things that will interest them, make it a feel-good exchange between you and the child.
But do you find now that the creative industry is booming?
It is.
Parents are still not necessarily accepting of the industry?
Exactly, but most parents they do not want to hear that their child wants to be an actor or a seamstress, or you know. So which is why it is such a benefit if as a parent you say, you know what, this is what my child likes, or this is what you like, because a lot of teens have no idea what they want to do. So when your child has found their niche at an early age, it is wonderful to say yes. You know, you do. My daughter is very creative, so I send her stuff, and the same thing she'll do with her friends. If I find something that I think she would like, I would send it to her on social media. We have that exchange. And sometimes they are very amazed that you like what they like. So that's quite important.
And I'm finding now there's a narrowing of the gap with technology. Parents, they call their parents perennials, right? You have the millennials and the perennials. And the parents are able to relate to the music, to the fashion, to the conversations. That's
also very important.
You also have parents who go out with their children and their friends. Yeah.
And that brings me to another point. Sometimes we take too much of a serious approach towards inspiration and motivation for our children. It's wise that we know what inspires them. Again, sticking with the age appropriate. So that they may be shocked that you might be interested in what they're interested in.
Dancehall music.
And the truth is that a lot of these pop culture icons do have a success story. So like for a child who may not be excited about what school they would have passed for, it may not be their first choice. You know, one of the things we share with our teens is that while everybody from everywhere may not end great, anybody from anywhere can.
Say that again.
Everybody from everywhere may not end great, but anybody from anywhere can.
Lovely.
And it is important to use these examples. You already start from a good place because they look up to them. And learn their success story and bring it to them.
Don't just see the end.
Exactly.
Yeah, because most of the times they see the glamour and the glory.
Do you know that she had 25 auditions before a record label signed her up? And
is that what you do when you go out to the schools?
Yes, that's a lot of what we do. And I have to say that it's easier as a mentor than a parent. Because as a
talk. Tell me you don't.
I tell you, as a parent, I guess, you know, the byproduct is the angst. But it helps. The fact that I practice it outside really helps me. But it's a great approach to inspiring your children. We want to tell them who Steve Jobs is and who's it. But we have to think of what moves them, what gives them that feel good.
And the third one? The
third one is, I like to, I mean, the more exposure our children have to motivational and inspirational people, activity, and platforms, the better. Sticking within the age appropriate things that excite them, because you know sometimes you keep telling your child something and they're glazing over the eyes, they're not getting it.
I know that glaze.
And
I know that glaze. You know, and it's the glaze that comes with a smile.
Yes. And you know they hello.
You think they're smiling, but they're glazing past what you're saying.
And then they come home and say, you know, Miss Lisa was in school today and she was telling us, and they're all excited. And it's not, as a parent, it's not the time for an I told you so. Just be happy that the seed has germinated, and that somebody was able to send it home. You know, so it is wise for us to be able to surround them with people who will reverberate our good values
and
that
also
we want to
experiences
instill.
as well. So you speak about people, but even if the opportunity to travel, if not abroad, around the country.
Yes, I'm big on that. You know, it's very smart. And of course, I also want to talk about the fact that sometimes we need to separate our children from the things that they do wrong. You know, as Trinidadians, we like to own our faults. Oh, God, my head bigger. Oh, gosh, I clumsy.
Right.
So we do the same thing with parents. And no parent of a teenager could tell me that sometimes you fly off the handle and you may call your children names.
Right.
You know, and sometimes it's even good therapy as a parent to be able to say that, you know, and I want to do better at it. So I advise them to separate them from that thing they've done so wrong. So parenting takes a little bit of acting. So when my children do something, I would tell them, I am so disappointed. And it's not a chance for me to big up my parenting and say, I didn't raise you like that. I said, I don't expect that from you.
Right.
You know, this does not sound, when I heard that, it just
What about having a conversation? Talking it through.
You must talk to you. And again, and none of these tips will help if you don't first have that bond and invest that time into your child.
Stacey, thank you so much.
Such a pleasure.
You know you're going to be back.
Yes, I
know. Definitely, because there's lots inside of
Lots,
this lady, you know.
lots.
To stand, you're probably wondering, how come Lisa's sitting this morning? I'll tell you why. Because if I were to stand up, right, come stand up.
Are we going to do this, Lisa?
You see, so that's why I'm sitting this morning. I'm out to you. I'm out to you. Thank you so much, Stacey. But I'm going to cross right now to Rishi, who has something to tell us about the Trinbago Night Riders.